Sync check. You gotta do one of them. That's what they do. Sync check.
Who does that?
So I don't know. That's what podcast
people. Does it?
Behind the scenes of the first episode. But here we go. The first episode of the Sports Mixer podcast. My name is John Halsall. I'm here with we're going to go co-creator. We're going to go...
I'm just here.
We're just here. We're here. I'm here with Jake Sewell. How you doing?
No, I'm not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad, very excited for the first podcast here in lockdown. Finally doing a podcast. I think we've talked about doing a podcast for... I remember us being in like sixth form and stuff, and definitely like at lunch and stuff, just being sat there being like, oh, we should easily do this and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just one of the things you always talk about, never do, and then you're stuck at home for 12 months. So
here we go.
Why not now? Now?
On board. Why not now? What is this podcast going to be about? Let's give a little breakdown to, I don't know how many listeners we're going to get, but if we get a few listeners, let's give them a little breakdown into what the podcast is going to be about.
Just chatting.
Just chatting.
It's just an excuse to chat about a bit of sport.
Exactly. And it's a good excuse to chat about American sports from our UK, if you can't tell by the accents, our northern UK perspectives. I feel like it's a lot of people, with it growing so much now, like American sports, you see it on NFL, it's got NBA's on Sky, and NFL has grown so much more bigger compared to when we first started watching it. So why don't we give a little background about our experiences with American sports? So if you want to go first, so how did you get into, pretty much the two exclusive ones that we watch and talk about regularly, which are American football or football, if you've got American fans watching it, and basketball, which we're also both really into as well.
Well, American football basically just from playing Madden, because with like the late noughties, you couldn't really watch NFL. You could, but it wasn't readily available. You could play the video games, but I used to play them. So then I just picked my favourite teams from the players who were good on the game. And then the first Super Bowl would have been Patriots Giants.
Well, you
and I remember staying up
for me. You was way
Patriots. No, because I only used to watch the Super Bowl, and I'd root for the underdog.
Yeah.
So that obviously the Giants. So I would have been 9. Stayed up with my brother to watch it. Yeah. But I think I made it to the coin toss, and then fell asleep because I was 9 years old. And then they just carried on like that, supporting the underdog. So I like the Cardinals for a bit. I like the Giants.
Yeah.
And then when it was Packers Steelers, so I'm a Packers fan. And then that just happened to be around the time you were getting into it.
Yeah. So mine was again kind of similar to yours. I was around my cousin's house, and it's kind of weird that you kind of rooted for the Packers, because I watched Super Bowl 43, which was the Steelers Cardinals. So you were like rooting for the underdog. I was kind of like rooting for the favorite there. Picked the Steelers. And then I remember when we first started watching it in school, it was because it was the Packers Steelers Super Bowl. And then after that kind of happened, it was like, oh, maybe we should start watching it. And that was when our first season was, which was the following season. Which was the 15-1 season for the Packers.
So it was just coincidentally, it was that season I started rooting for the Packers. So it seems because they just won the Super Bowl and they were 15-1. So that was it really. And then basketball, never really was into it. I played the games again, like the really old ones,
like NBA Live and stuff like that. That was what I used to play before. I kind of covered 2K.
But then you were really into it.
Yeah,
so I sort of started watching it, and
I've basically been to America a couple of times when I was younger, and I remember I went. I don't know how old I was, maybe like 8 years old. I remember being there for. Do you remember the LeBron 3-point buzzer beater against the Magic?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was in America when that happened, and I was like, oh my god, basketball is insane. So kind of had like a little bit of an interest from it there. Every time I go back to America, it would always be around like April when the playoffs would be on. So I'd go over and I'd be like changing the team I'd be interested in like every single time.
Yeah.
it was until I got like the 2K games like later on, and started playing them. That's where I was like, oh, you started learning a lot more through the games.
Yeah.
And from there, I remember I started watching highlights, and the first highlights that I properly watched was Lob City of the Clippers, and I was like, this team seems really, really cool.
Blake Griffin jumping over a car.
I just loved Blake Griffin and loved Chris Paul. Like Chris Paul to me is like one of the best probably the best pure point guard since like Magic Johnson or something like that. So, but Chris Paul.
So I would agree.
Yeah. So what about yourself with basketball?
So basketball, just because you were into it, so we were good mates. So you basically just told me to watch it. I didn't really know anything about it, but because I spotted the Packers, you know, to stay in Wisconsin, and I chose the Bucks, who the following season has 15 wins. So it's got better since then. It's got better since then.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Bucks last couple of years have done really well compared to the barren years, where getting the 8th seed was all that mattered.
But anyway, enough of the background and NBA stuff. Now on to our first video. And with the Super Bowl coming up in, was it 2 days? It's Friday.
2 days. It's Friday evening now.
8 o'clock here in the UK. So it's Super Bowl week, one of the most exciting weeks when it's normal in the world. But I guess it's a good time for any to start a podcast and just talk about the Super Bowl and talk about the playoffs that have gone on. What did you think of the playoffs this year? It was kind of a weird system with...
Well, adding an extra team in of COVID, adding an extra team in, but I really liked it this year. Super Wildcard Weekend.
I liked the extra.
Super Wildcard Weekend was
super.
Who doesn't want an extra game? Do you know what I mean? 2 games.
The 2 seed. That's seed doesn't want it. It kind of it does add that extra element to. There's something more now for being number 1 rather than being number 2. Because if you got number 2, you're like, yeah, we have a week off.
Yeah.
Which is good, but now you have to fight extra hard for that number 1, and I think that's why it's going to create such a bigger difference going forward in future seasons. And I think it's definitely a better system because you're gonna get more teams fighting at the bottom to get in.
And that's what it's more for. That there's less teams to tank.
Well, you're always going to get one
in a playoff spot.
Tank division getting in either.
Well, you're going to have a few, aren't you?
You're going to get either the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Giants, or the football team. One of those awful teams. Surely, one of those teams has to have a positive record next year. Surely, they can't be that bad again.
One of them will. Well, it changes very quickly. It's just like American sports compared to English sports. The competitive balance is a bit more even. And Americans might not think that. But if you come from football in the Premier League, the top 6 are...
That's not changed.
they're so far ahead of... I know this season's different, but just in terms of money and...
Are you surprised the NFL didn't cancel a few games or anything like that?
I'm surprised they didn't have as many problems as what they did end up having. I thought it would have been a nightmare. So I know the Steelers had a problem for a while.
I don't want to use that as an excuse for why we completely flunked out in the end, but not having a bye since week 3, that certainly made a difference.
That was the only real major issue.
Are you forgetting
I know the Titans,
the Broncos?
Oh, what? Yeah, when they had. Oh,
they didn't have
I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
but they played the game.
I can't believe that game went ahead, and other games that got delayed so much. I know it's because they had like the protocols around it where they needed to be cleared by a certain time. I remember the Ravens game where Lamar Jackson had COVID, or he was like suspected of having COVID, and they could delay it rather than cancel it, or rather than play, because if they played on that day, because of the close contact that Lamar Jackson was with people, that means they might have been playing the game with people who had COVID, which meant it could have passed on to, I can't remember which team it was who was playing at the time, but yeah,
well,
it was.
We've got here though. We've got here.
They
played all the games.
So let's go down and break down some of the games that happened. So first up, we will do the AFC wildcard weekend. So the first game that we'll break down is the Bills and the Colts. Philip Rivers, last hurrah. Kind of bittersweet from the end. But it was, I didn't see the Colts getting past the Bills in any regard whatsoever.
Yeah, it was a bit sad in the end. Like, Philip Rivers has been such a great quarterback for so long, but he just couldn't get it. He can't get the ball downfield anymore. And I'm just happy he's retired and not tried to come back for one more. He did well to sneak into the playoffs, and he's got a good team, but he just can't do it anymore. He's retired, so fair play to him.
He threw for 309 yards and 2 touchdowns, which, again, it seems like a really, really good performance. But
yeah, but when you actually were watching it, it's just
they
were in that game though. They were in the game.
Yeah, and
until the end.
Until the end, where there was one of the weird calls on the fumble recovery and down by contact, which kind of extended the period where they could come back. But again, NFL officiating, who really knows what they're doing? It's all up in the air. But yeah, the Bills, good performance all around from them. Just a really good team.
Too good.
Yeah,
just the better team.
Josh Allen, 324 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also led the Bills in rushing in that game. He had 54.
Well, he does every week.
That's the thing with the Bills. Maybe that's the downfall, because they've got Allen, who his development and his progression has been amazing. He's arguably a top 5 quarterback.
He's a star.
He's a star, and they've got good weapons on the outside. They got Diggs, who again.
That was the big one.
Yeah,
Diggs was the big one for them.
Yeah, and I think that's worked out on numerous grounds. You know, they got a superstar in Stephon Diggs, and then the Vikings using that to good replacement if you're getting.
I'm sure we'll get onto him later.
Yeah, we'll get onto him later, definitely. But yeah, the Bills, it was clear that they were gonna better team. On to the Steelers, Browns. Do we have to talk about this?
Then that first half was the best half of the playoffs, and not for you, obviously.
I didn't get to sleep until around 7 a.m. just out of fury and rage.
Well, I was falling asleep and I wasn't going to watch it, and then it was 28-0 in about half an hour, and it was just like, what is going on?
I wasn't even mad about the first play. Like, it, you know what, it happens. Like, it's not a good start, but a part of me was just like, you know what, they've scored, at least we get the ball back. Let's just see it as like they returned a kickoff and they're up 7-0.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, mate,
you've got the ball again.
Let's just see it as that. We just couldn't get into gear, and by the time we got anything going, it was just too late. And to be fair, when we started coming back to the game, a part of me was just like, oh my God, imagine the comeback. Imagine if the Browns again.
It would be very brown.
When Tomlin made that decision to punt instead of going for it, I was like, this game's over. It's what this season was. It was 11-0. It was, we have a lot of young, hungry players, and for some reason, when we started losing games, it seems like they got really cocky and just got like, yo, it don't matter, we're still gonna walk. Like I remember when Claypool started bursting out, I was like, here we go. We've got like Calvin Johnson 2.0 where we got Ben a weapon, and Ben was just like, it looked like at one point Ben was going to be comeback player of the year. I was like, we're going to go 16-0, and it just ended like that, and it brought up so many questions what to do in the off season. But at the end of the day, fair play to the Browns. You know, Baker Mayfield 3 touchdowns, Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns, and then that big play that Nick Chubb did on the pass from Baker.
It summed it up pretty well.
It summed it up pretty well, and so many questions going into the off season now for the Steelers, and the Browns are going to be so much more optimistic on being maybe division champs with Baltimore.
Well, obviously, it's a really tough decision, but like a really tough division. But the Browns were good.
Browns are really good. I can't, yeah. And yeah, it's looks like it's the Browns and Ravens division, which leads us nicely into the next game, the Ravens and the Titans game, which was a pretty exciting game considering it wasn't that exciting. There wasn't that many.
Yeah.
There was like one huge play, which was the Jackson scramble for 40-yard touchdown.
Mate, I'm a Lamar Jackson fan, but the Ravens are a pretty unmemorable team. Because you just run, just like that, like with this game. You can't remember what happened, can you? Do you know? like the Titans ran at him, the Ravens ran back.
The Titans didn't even run at him. Derrick Henry.
But that's all they can try and do.
Derrick Henry had 40 yards on the game, which was for a guy who probably I think will be Offensive Player of the Year.
It's a tricky one, but I thought the Titans would have won.
I thought the Titans. I picked the Titans in my predictions, and I wasn't shocked, but it was just a weird game when it seemed like no one could get anything going in the passing game.
Yeah, it wasn't a high quality game.
Oh yeah, it wasn't, and I think it just came down to just the star power of Lamar Jackson won the game in the end. And moving on to the NFC, so the first game we'll go through here is the Washington football team and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, this one was going to be predictable. You have a 7-9 team up against the best players.
The all-star team.
Yeah,
the all-star Buccaneers.
It was a good coming out party for Taylor Heineke. It was
fun.
It was fun.
He made it fun for a bit.
Certainly fun.
They were never going to win. But
306 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 46 rushing yards, and a beautiful touchdown where he dived to the pylon.
Yeah.
It was certainly fun. It was
but he made it competitive enough for long enough for me to go. I enjoyed that. Even
it was close for
they weren't going to win. They were always going to cause them problems, but you didn't have enough at the end of the day. But Taylor Heineke, he's my MVP of the playoffs. So that was fun.
Yeah. He's certainly got himself a career as a backup now.
He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid somewhere.
Yeah. He's going to.
If he keeps his head down, it'll be a Chase Daniel where teams will just keep paying him.
Yeah, it'll be a game at a backup in Baltimore. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now on to a lot of people might consider a little bit of an upset, the Seahawks-Rams game. What did you think of this one?
I would say it was an upset. John Walford going down and then Goff coming back.
But did it feel like the Rams kind of lost this game? Or was it, and Jared Goff did enough to get the Rams across the line with that really good defense? Because the defense did really, really well.
Well, yeah, Russell Wilson.
He had a shocker.
That's a bit of a nightmare, really.
Shocker. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick for only 174 yards. And you could see a lot. It was getting quite frustrated. A lot of players. DK Metcalf, before he had the big touchdown, he was getting really, really frustrated on the sidelines. And it just felt like the Rams just kind of just smothered them.
It's that Rams defense. When you've got Ramsey on the outside and Donald through the middle, it makes it a lot easier to stop the opposition. So Goff's in a position where he didn't have to do much.
Yeah, Leonard Floyd was causing havoc as well.
Yeah, he had a really good game. I don't know if the Seahawks lost it, but maybe they did.
Do you think the wheels fall off for the Seahawks as well, just like the Steelers?
What, sorry?
Do you think the wheels fall off the Seahawks just like they did for the Steelers?
Maybe a little bit, but I weren't worried about the Seahawks. Like going into the playoffs, I weren't thinking, the Seahawks are struggling. Because the week before, they were in with a chance of the 1 seed. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
It was weird because what was so good for them at the start of the season with the offense, with like Wilson was an MVP candidate. He had Metcalf was breaking out of an amazing season. Lockett was looking really good, and the defense was giving up so many points.
Yeah.
It kind of like just changed, and the defense was playing not Legion of Boom level that we've seen them do in the past, but
no,
they were doing well and the offense was kind of stuttering a little bit. It was kind of strange.
Yeah, we'll have to see coming into the season. I think Tyler Lockett is still really underrated because obviously DK Metcalf gets all the plaudits, and Russell Wilson just because he runs about and lobs it up. Because he gets sacked every other play, so that's all he can do is just run about and then launch it up, pitch it up, someone grabs it.
It seems like it seems like the Seahawks have had O-line issues since forever.
Every year Wilson's been in the league. Wilson's first 8 years in the league, nobody's been sacked more times than what he has.
Yeah, and
like in their first 8 seasons.
I remember when they traded Max Unger for Jimmy Graham. That did not work.
Offensive line is full of them every year. It's like need to improve it, but because Russell Wilson's that good, they're always going to be in the playoffs or there or thereabouts. Like,
you think Carroll's run out of ideas? Think he might be on a hot seat?
Oh, I think that's a bit far, but
I saw a lot of people saying it after the game.
Yeah, but everyone says stuff like that after the game, don't they? Everyone wants everyone fired after lose a game. You know, get him out. They're not good enough.
And then the final one we'll talk about. This one didn't really mean anything. It was the Bears versus the Saints.
That Bears
with damage. He had that amazing throw, which was dropped.
Yeah, that changes the whole game, but they were never going to win, were they?
They were never winning. No, they was never going to win. No, they're in a weird position, the Bears.
You can't keep going with Mitch Trubisky. I hope they do. Pro Bowl quarterback. I hope they can keep with him. But
who could they get a quarterback? They've either got a... Were they picking the draft? They're picking like the 20s, something like that, aren't they?
Yeah, it will be. Sort of all the big hitters in the draft are going to be gone by then. If Mac Jones is there, are they going to take Mac Jones at 20? Maybe, but realistically, I know we all joke about Mitch Trubisky. Would a rookie Mac Jones be an upgrade?
No.
No. Like, are any of these rookies going to be outside of Trevor Lawrence? Would any of them definitely be an upgrade?
I think
probably not. Not immediately.
If they brought in like a Fields or Lance,
Trey Lance. Trey Lance isn't going to be an immediate upgrade, is it?
Yeah, but if you bring about excitement around the team, rather than going, here's a guy who went to one Pro Bowl and hasn't been good, or here's Nick Foles who won a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Well, Nick Foles is better than Mitch Trubisky.
That contract though was terrible.
It didn't make any sense at the time. Doesn't make sense now. But I hope they stick with Pro Bowler Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. Saints again, they're a much superior team, and even with a Drew Brees, who will have a lot more to talk about the division game, they were always going to win. And on to the divisional rounds. Back over to the AFC. We had the Bills and the Ravens. And again, this one was a matchup of like two up-and-coming quarterbacks who are just stars in the making. And again, it kind of fell a little bit flat.
It weren't really the fireworks you wanted. Ugly game.
It was an ugly game, and obviously the biggest play that happened was the 100-yard pick.
Yeah, Lamar's pick six.
Lamar pick six, and then him eventually going out of the game. When that happened, you just kind of felt like,
there's not a lot could get going for either team in that game anyway. So when something like that happens, you're waiting for a play like that to whichever way it goes, and the Bills made it.
Yeah,
game over.
A lot less exciting compared to the other AFC divisional game, Browns and the Chiefs, which was a hell of a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, and I kind of
what everyone thought it was going to be.
And I kind of find myself feeling a bit bad for the Browns in the end.
It's going to come back to that touchdown, what ended up being a touchback.
Yeah.
What should have been a penalty, but it wasn't.
That's the thing. A lot of people are criticizing the rule. I understand like why a lot of people don't like the rule, but I personally don't mind the rule because I think that it kind of rewards good defense.
It's too harsh on the attack in that situation from that play. If the ball goes out at the 1, you keep the ball. But if it goes out 1 yard inside the end zone, or the other team gets it on the 20-yard line, I think maybe if the offensive team gets the ball back, but on the 20-yard line, maybe. But it just seems so harsh for something where a flag should have been thrown anyway.
That's
the big one.
Bigger thing that wasn't reviewable when it was a clear penalty. It was clear. He went down with his
helmet to helmet. Yeah,
the helmet knocked the ball out.
Yeah,
but that wasn't reviewable, and I think that if we're gonna bring in these stipulations where we can review certain penalties, we need to review all.
We have to review them all.
If we want something done right, then everything needs to be covered. But again, is that going to be like an issue with VAR in the Premier League where every single little thing is getting nitpicked?
Whatever happens, people are going to complain. But even with that decision, the Browns had a chance. Chad Heady punted the ball, just lobbed it up. But it was a great punt because I don't know who was there. I don't know who he was throwing it to.
Yeah, with Mahomes going out of the game, it's kind of like, oh, there might be a bit of a chance there. But
the Browns had a drive, but he punted it.
Yeah.
And they didn't get the ball back.
Yeah, it's again in the day, the better team won. If Mahomes doesn't go out of that game, the Chiefs win by quite far. That Mahomes did look quite scary though with him.
Yeah, that wasn't pretty.
I thought he was good doing his knee in the process of doing it as well, because he kind of went down and he was kind of loose. And I thought because his body might have been so loose, his knee could have gotten a weird angle and he could have been done, but fortunately, he is back for the Super Bowl. And
he's fine, and the Chiefs got through. I think for the good of the game, the Chiefs was the better result.
Now over to the NFC. Who do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about your team? We haven't talked about your team in the playoffs yet because you were the number 1 seed. You got home field advantage against the Rams.
The Rams game was a funny and it was close without ever being that close.
Yeah.
So there was a part, end of the third, beginning of the fourth, where it was a bit like it's going to happen against the Packers, but it didn't, and we're fine.
The main threats that was happening in the previous Seahawks-Rams games of Donald. Do you think Donald was carrying an injury?
They're gonna. You can say that, but Elton Jenkins dealt with him, handled it all game.
Yeah,
they couldn't create any pressure. Elton Jenkins, All-Pro, just couldn't get near him. Couldn't get near to Rodgers.
It was always good to see Jalen Ramsey cry as well on the Devon Adams touchdown. I'm ready.
Donald had a quiet game, and therefore it just didn't really have a chance. And with Goff with his injury,
I
don't know how much it affected him, but it must hurt. It must hurt trying to throw a football when you've just had surgery. 2 weeks before when it was
freezing cold. But it was always going to be Packers. I think a lot of people would.
That game never worried me.
Yeah, even though you had a few little moments, but it was.
It's the next game. What they're the talking point.
Before we get to that one, let's talk about the game before that in the other divisional round, which was the Bucks versus the Saints. Which one was a bigger disappointment? Was it Phillip Rivers' way of going out, or was it Drew Brees'?
Well, that's what I was going to compare it to anyway. Seeing Drew Brees, it was exactly the same as Rivers, where a great quarterback who's been so great for so long just can't throw it like they used to. They can still be good, but they just can't get the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Like they used to be able to. They can't do it. They drew up a trick play for Jameis to
1 touchdown.
1 for 58 yards or whatever it was. They can't draw it up for Drew Brees you can't draw it up for Drew Brees to
do anymore.
But they stole that play from the Bears the week before because the Bears ran it against the Saints. So Sean Payton's done, I'll have a bit of that. Well, has Drew Brees retired yet? He's not official. Has he retired?
I don't think he's officially. As of filming this, I don't think he has yet.
But he's still.
He probably should. That's for sure. But the man across from him, Brady.
What can you say about him? What's not already been said in the past 20 years?
With the just two old quarterbacks, it just showed the one clearly just had more than the other. It was none of them threw for magnificent amount of yards. Brady had 199, 2 touchdowns. Breeze 134. He had a touchdown and 3 interceptions. But
yeah, it wasn't pretty for Breeze, and Tom Brady just wins. That's what he does.
Yeah. He had on the All-Star Buccaneers with just 125 yards between Fournette and Ronald Jones on the ground. They lost twice to them in the regular season, and as soon as the playoffs come up, it's just, I don't know, Brady gets another level and he just wins.
He just turns it on. Just
turns it on.
Just waits for when he has to do it.
Yeah, but even in the start of that game, the Buccaneers special teams looked terrible.
Yeah, because you had the
big
return.
Yeah, and one of them
brought back. Yeah, illegal block in the back or whatever.
Something like
special
that.
Teams ruling. I'm not an expert, but yeah, it just looks like every special teams opportunity the Saints are just gonna either score or get the big chunk back.
Brady and the Bucks, and they did what Brady and the Bucks, well, not what the Bucks
the Bucks don't do.
Brady just went, right, I need to see this one. I'm taking it with me. And I guess that leads us nicely into the next game of Brady doing his thing against your Packers, which was probably a big upset. And
was it a big upset?
I don't know. It feels like
I know the Packers were the favourites, but I think people are overblowing. Like, we're still playing Tom Brady. Like, I think people are overblowing the idea there's some plucky underdogs. Like,
I think when you got that long touchdown, was it to Valdez Scott?
MBS.
Yeah. When he got that touchdown, it felt like, yeah, here we go. It's happening now. But that play before
the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Absolute killer. I have no words because I just didn't understand the play call.
You pulled
Mike Pettin, the defensive coordinator, will be leaving now. We've not fired him, but his contract's up and they're not really doing it.
Yeah.
But there was a few calls throughout the season have been iffy, but that
you pulled the Jets versus the Raiders.
Put us in that position, and Kevin King got burned by Scotty Miller.
If he had a bad
and if for the first touchdown, he was nowhere to be seen as well. And it was just like, I like Kevin King, but just killed us.
Yeah, but again, you had chances to get back in the game.
That's not what lost us. Losing the game was Jair getting 2 picks and then not scoring off
anything. You didn't do anything.
You didn't score. So
it didn't feel like there was any energy left. It felt like you got the picks and then the offense came out and
they just couldn't get anything going. And obviously everyone's going to talk about kicking the field goal and not going for it on 4th down. I would have gone for it, but
what do you think about Rodgers' decision to throw on? Was it 3rd down where it looked like a lane to the right?
Yeah, but he's 37 years old now. Do you not like
It's the playoffs. You gotta die.
All that would have happened. It's very easy when you're watching it on the telly and you see this camera and you can just draw a little line and go, "Oh, look at that running to the corner." The linebacker would have got across to him. And all that would have happened is that it would have taken a massive hit.
But then
maybe if he did just run and he's closer in,
yeah,
maybe we'd go for it. But I probably think Aaron Rodgers thinks we're going for it on 4th down anyway. I think he's just could have said that. He thought they were in 4th down territory anyway, but
yeah,
he kicked the field goal and there's reasons behind doing it, but we still needed to score a touchdown. That's the big one. But Matt LaFleur's not. It's very easy to criticise him now, but we missed the playoffs 2 years in a row when he's come in back-to-back championship games and 13-3 in back-to-back seasons. So it's like one of those.
How disappointed are you?
I'm over it now. That evening, I was not a very happy man, and not gonna lie, I didn't watch a lot of the AFC Championship game because I just didn't want to watch another game. You don't have it in British sports, do you? Where it's like you've got a semi-final, heartbreaking loss and go, right, there's another one on now. Do you want to come and watch it? There's like the best comparison was like when England lost in the football World Cup semi-final. Like, if after we lost to Croatia, someone went, right, do you want to watch France and Belgium now in the other semi-final? Like, no, no. But it's like, it's on a day later and I can like, yeah, I'll watch it then. But like in the moment, it's like, I'm not sitting down and watching.
I don't think I even watched the third place playoff game. I might have done. I can't remember now.
I think I had it in the background. Didn't really. It's gone by then. But
the AFC Championship game was always what I thought it was going to be, which was the Bills are a great team. They are clearly one of the better teams in the AFC, but with the new playoff system and what it's like, it kind of puts an emphasis on like who is number one. I think that gap between the Chiefs, who are clearly number one, might be a Patriots-esque dynasty at this point.
I tread carefully saying stuff like that. We don't.
They've got.
I know it looks like that, but are they going to do this for 20 years?
Holmes' contract is 10 years. He's already got an MVP. And he's going to his second Super Bowl. And what is it? Is it 4 years he's played?
Well, this was his third championship game in a row.
Yeah, he's been to three
back-to-back Super Bowls
in a row.
Back-to-back Super Bowls.
And he's
obviously he's the best throw, like most physically gifted thrower I've seen.
Yeah,
because I don't think I'd see anyone better than Rodgers. But
without you being your bias of Rodgers, which I know you have.
In terms of throwing, he's more physically gifted. I'm not saying he's not a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, but
he very much well could be when it's all said and done. Which
if Patrick Mahomes only has one Super Bowl in 10 years' time, they'll all be coming out saying, "Oh, he was talented, but he's wasted it." Like them conversations will come.
The thing with the Chiefs, why they are so good though, is they've got again Tyreek Hill on the outside, Andy Reid, and the best tight end. They got the best tight end in the game, a top 3 wide receiver, and one of the best coaches in the game. And
yeah, the rest of it don't really matter.
But yeah, that again, the Chiefs game, Hill had 172 yards, and then if you have a receiver on the outside getting 172 yards, and then you have Travis Kelce getting 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. When the Chiefs went down because of obviously the fumbled punt. It felt like it was going to be a Texans one the year before, where it was like, what were the Texans up again? Was it 21-0, 24-0?
I can't remember. It was a lot.
Yeah, it felt like to be fair, it felt like it's happening again. But obviously the Chiefs are just going to come back because they've got Patrick Mahomes and no matter how good Josh Allen is, Josh Allen had a really good game. 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had 88 rushing yards as well. Again, he just
no harm done to his profile.
Yeah. I was going to be saying
Allen can't win in the playoffs.
He's not going to be a guy who's going to carry it. He just needs.
Had a fantastic season. No shame in losing in the championship game to the Chiefs.
But yeah, so those are a review of the games. So let's have a look at our predictions of what you predicted and what I predicted. So I'll get mine up first. I don't think I did that well for my predictions. I think it was pretty standard of what I went for. So I picked Tennessee over Baltimore, Steelers over the Browns, and then Buffalo over the Colts. So then we move over to here. I picked Tampa Bay. That was quite obvious. I was so close to picking the Rams. I thought I actually did pick the Rams at one point. I actually did think I picked Tampa Bay. I was like, yeah, Tampa Bay.
Right. I think you've beaten mine anyway, so don't worry about that.
Oh man, I thought I did terrible.
I had my big upset in the Super Wildcard weekend.
Well, we'll get yours on.
The AFC, we had exactly the same, apart from the championship game. I had the Bills.
The Bills over the Chiefs.
Yeah, just thought there was something a bit off with the Chiefs in the last few weeks, but then you just look silly, don't you? Because there was nothing wrong. Then in the NFC, I went with Washington. I backed myself. Even though deep down I didn't think they would win. It was worth a punt. But apart from this, they're all close enough games, you know. Yeah. But I don't have either of the Super Bowl teams because I had a Packers Bills Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. That would have been a good Super Bowl. I would have liked that as a Super Bowl, but we ended up with what's gonna be, I think, a really, really good Super Bowl. I think if you told me at the start of the season you're gonna get arguably the best quarterback in football versus the best quarterback of all time. You could see the marketing, NBC and all of them, ESPN, the marketing, and boom, boom, boom. It's gonna be. They've got so many ideas about it. It's gonna be like legacy versus legacy. Like
good tagline. There.
It's gonna be like a steel cage match. It's
but it writes itself, doesn't it? It's Brady against anyone writes itself, but especially when you've got
Mahomes,
someone who even you've described as maybe being the next Brady and going that sort of dynasty. It's going to be a good game.
Do you feel like it's going to be a score fest, like a lot of people are saying it's going to be?
Probably. Well, the Chiefs are going to score points. Do you know?
You see, I think the Chiefs might score a lot of points, but I don't think it's going to be as many as a lot of people think. I think that
I don't know if it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be an absolute shootout, but you can only keep the Chiefs out for so long.
Yeah, it's if they can get to him. If you got Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett off the edge and Sue coming up the middle, it's how flustered Mahomes is going to get.
He doesn't
get flustered.
He gets better when you get pressure on him.
Yeah.
You can't blitz him. As soon as you blitz him, he'll spot him immediately. Just tear you apart.
The All-Star Buccaneers going to be able to keep up with the Chiefs. That's pretty much what it's going to be, I think.
I've been thinking, I don't know who's going to win, but surely by now it's a bit stupid to write off Tom Brady, isn't it? How, after all these years, can you say Tom Brady's not going to win?
Because it's Mahomes. If it was
I don't care. I don't care. What is your final prediction then? Don't need to give me a score, but just
I'll give you a score if you want a score.
All right.
Really specific. I'm going to go 37-31 Chiefs. Is that a possible score? Yeah, it's possible.
Scoregami in the Super Bowl. That's what.
Or maybe a bit closer. I'll go 37-30. Oh, 37-34. Ooh.
I thought it weren't going to be a score fest.
No, yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, I want to go 37-31 Chiefs.
How can I write Tom Brady off again? He's just going to do it again. That's what he does, and he's going to do it until he's 58, and then he'll go, right, I've had enough now. I've got 19 Super Bowls.
Do you think Aaron will stay playing? He's got one more year left after this.
Might do another year after that
in Tampa.
I think he'll just do like what LeBron does and just take right of 1 year deals and see how we get on. But I'll pick the Tampa Bay All-Stars to win 35-31.
35. That sounds right. I don't know why that just sounds
Tampa Bay All-Star. It sounds like a good score, doesn't it?
That sounds right. Who are you going for MVP?
MVP, well, no question. It's Aaron Rodgers. Let's move on to the next one.
Oh no, I meant Super Bowl MVP.
Oh right, I thought you meant regular season MVP. Oh, no. Well, if it's 35-31, Tom Brady.
Brady. So
it's gonna be the quarterback, isn't it?
I'm gonna go Tyreek Hill, and he'll have like over 200 yards receiving. Definitely. I'm going to Tyreek Hill and 2 touchdowns and over 200 yards. I'm going to put a fiver on that and see what we get on that. Now, the awards show that happens tomorrow night, MVP. Instead of you going to think it's going to be MVP.
It's Aaron Rodgers. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers probably. It definitely should be Rodgers. I think that
Aaron Rodgers is the MVP this season.
There's no real debate there, but next one has a little bit of a debate. It's offensive player of the year. Who have you gone for there?
Right, I've got a few names written down, but this award never really made any sense to me because
if you're thinking about it, it's like, if Aaron Rodgers is the MVP, should he not be the offensive player of the year? But
exactly,
I like it when they differentiate it because I feel like it's
right. So I'm playing along, and I've got 3 names written down. I think 2 of them are pretty ordinary guess. My third one, little curveball.
Right.
But Devontae Adams, I don't think he will win, but I think good shout. I think Derrick Henry will actually win it.
I think Derrick Henry will win it.
And then the third name I've got written down, we alluded to him before, Justin Jefferson. I bet Derrick Henry will win.
I think Derrick Henry will
I'm just putting who I would vote to win. I thought Derrick Henry will win and should win. But I think Justin Jefferson's had a fantastic season, as so has Devontae Adams. But
I think if a running back goes over 2,000 yards,
it's hard not to.
It's hard not, and especially he's in the MVP discussion probably because for players not a quarterback. So with that being the case, kind of like if he's not on the Titans are a completely different team.
Oh, the Titans' game plan revolves around. And I know Tannehill's been really good, but it revolves around Derrick Henry. Definitely.
But going over 2,000 yards, it's. I think that's pretty much a lock. But next one is where there's always a good discussion around Defensive Player of the Year. It's TJ Watt. It has to be TJ Watt.
Well, does it?
It does. He should have won it last year.
Right.
My Steelers bias is overtaking me here, but he is.
No, again, I've got two names written down, and I think TJ Watt should win, but Aaron Donald could be the Defensive Player of the Year every year.
Yeah, definitely. But
but I think TJ Watt will win, and probably deservedly so.
If he doesn't win, I will be very annoyed, because I feel like this is his best year. He's done,
and he's a Badger. He's
a big badge too. You want to pick him up. That's my bias is going to take over for the Offensive Rookie of the Year. We got Duck in Offensive Rookie of the Year, and this one is where the biggest debate is. Who's taking this one? It's one or two.
Well, I know who you're going to say. I've got a third name written down as well, but can I just shout out my Badger first?
Do your third name.
Just Jonathan Taylor.
No, he's not winning it.
He's not winning it. I'm just shouting him out.
Oh, yeah, I remember the start of the season. People were saying he's rubbish.
I think he was managed well, and then come like the second half of the season, he was getting all the carries and at 1,000 yards. He won't win. He shouldn't win, but throw him out there because
fair play. He had a good year, great year, and he's going to be probably a big focal point of their offense next year.
But for the award, you're going to go with Herbert.
Herbert has kind of just completely done me because my prediction before what he was going to be like in the NFL was like, oh, it's going to be another Oregon quarterback. And I know I'm watching him, I thought Mariota was a better prospect. I remember I was hyped on Mario. I was like, this guy can throw. This guy can run.
I think you were a bit younger then, though. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you just see him running about and go, yeah. I liked Herbert coming out. I know you, even though you're an Oregon fan, like you were a bit down on him, but a team was always going to fall in love with just his arm, and he's been fantastic.
Obviously, the questions around it was like, oh, can he pick up an NFL offense? And I think like he's just really smart, and he's just learned how to pick it up, and he's just built. In the NFL today, your dream quarterback is someone who's like 6'4", 6'5", and has an absolute cannon, and has also the mobility to get out of the way of sacks and run if need be.
The Chargers are set, but he's still not my Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I don't think he will win. I think they'll give it to Justin.
I think it has to be JJ because we're mates, so I just call him JJ now.
JJ.
But it's notoriously hard to be a rookie wide receiver, and he's coming in just been an All-Pro immediately on a not very good Vikings team.
Well, Kirk Cousins the ball.
I like Kirk Cousins, but the Vikings aren't very good, and he's coming in as an All-Pro immediately, and one of the best receivers in the league. It could go either way. I don't think it's like if Herbert got it, Jefferson was robbed, but I think Justin Jefferson should win it.
I think he will win it. The way Herbert does win it is because there's a value on the quarterback position in the NFL. It's because he's playing the hardest position. Jefferson's a top 5 receiver already, which you could probably make an argument.
You could definitely make the argument. That's the thing. He's had so much of an impact not playing quarterback, and that's very hard to do.
Yeah. So I think he will win it, but I'd like Herbert to win it.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Herbert won with quarterback bias. It is. It was if Joe Burrow hadn't got injured, then it would have been another name. But it's between Jefferson and Herbert.
Yeah.
Both would be deserving.
Next one, we've got a defensive rookie of the year.
Bit more barren on this one. Chase Young's going to win it. Chase Young will win. Jerry McChin had a good season.
Anton Winfield Jr. had a good year.
Yeah, Patrick Queen.
Had a good year. Yeah, definitely.
But Chase Young's going to win. It's
not
going to be close.
Yeah.
But yeah, a couple of nice role players on the team.
And last one, we'll probably stay in Washington for the last one.
Two more.
The two more? Oh, I missed that one. Anyway, comeback player of the year. We'll stay in Washington. We'll comeback player.
Comeback player. It's Alex Smith.
It's Alex Smith.
Alex Smith. And shout out to Ron Rivera. Give it them both. Yeah,
it's with everything that's kind of happened in Washington. It's with obviously the name change and the situation with Haskins and stuff. It's there's some nice heartfelt stories there.
Yeah, Alex Smith. Really nice to see him. Because there was a video not that long ago, last year, when you could see him walking about again, but it was like didn't look good even. He's just like walking about with his kids, but then he's playing to a reasonable level. Like he's not an all pro, but to come back from what he did, I think this is the most clear cut this award's ever been.
So we'll move on to the final award.
Coach of the year, only two really for me. Kevin Stefanski, the Browns, and Sean McDermott at the Bills. Take your pick.
I'll probably go Stefanski at the Browns.
Stefanski, making the playoffs for the first time in however many years it was.
And winning, beating us.
And then winning as well. The Bills were great. But it's like, obviously you could go Andy Reid, but they never give it to a coach who just wins, do they?
They give it to
give
it Harbaugh last year.
Yeah, but I think that's it sort of not came out of nowhere, but it was just like, oh, they're really good now.
Yeah,
because they made the jump.
Yeah,
to be in that team. So it's like because the Chiefs are just good now, even though they went 15-1 and they're the best coach team in the league.
Well, they go 15. I thought they were 14-2.
I thought it was 15-1, isn't it? Well, either way, pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say that. I'll take that.
But I think that's Stefanski.
Yeah, I go with the Browns. Like it's not nice seeing them back good and being better than the Steelers, but it feels like
I do think there's a chance Sean McDermott will win.
Yeah,
but the Bills are also another franchise who've just not been very good for a long time.
And they've been building something. They've got better and better each year.
Yeah, and this was their big leap. Yeah, and with a 2 seed, like whereas the Browns, maybe next year the Browns go 12-4 and win the division, or either of them.
Yeah, it's
winners.
But yeah, this has been a good first podcast, would you say?
Yeah, give me something to do for a bit.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. You can follow us on our social at the Mixer Podcast. So you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We'd really appreciate it if you gave us a follow on those socials and leave a review down below. I think going forward from here, we'll be posting the video clips on YouTube, and then we'll also be posting the audio on things like Spotify and Apple Music and things like that. If we get 8 people listening, that will be amazing. I would love it. We're going to go for double figures. If we get 10 listens on the first week.
Does that include us?
I don't know. Can you even check that? I'm not even too sure. If we get 10 followers on like the socials, which is not including like our friends and people we know, then yeah, I'll be happy.
10 actual followers.
And we're gonna aim for 100 before the draft. And then we can do a live stream before the draft and maybe even a giveaway if we're feeling.
Giveaway of what?
I don't know. We'll give away stuff on a zero.
You give something away to me.
A £0 budget podcast, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. This has been the Sports Mixer. We'll catch you in the next one. Check out our socials. And yeah, thanks for listening.